Aziz Hassan.
Norma Drummond.
Tara Franco.
All right, we have a vacancy this evening, and we do have another board member who is currently absent, but who is expected. So Mary is our alternate. Mary Seminara is going to be appointed to serve in the absence of Barbara Barossa until Barbara returns. But we do know that Barbara's not going to be available for this evening's meeting. All right, so with that, everybody in place, can I ask everybody to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, our upcoming meetings are a month from now, Tuesday, March 10th, and then Tuesday, April 14th. I do ask that if anybody is scheduled this evening for a public hearing next month and you have a sign and we get snowed out, keep in mind that there is no postponement of our meetings. Anything scheduled for March would actually just be carried forward to the April meeting. So in the event that town hall is canceled, there are announcements that would be made on the radio, but if town hall is canceled, then our meeting, or town hall is closed, then our meeting would be canceled for the evening. Hopefully not much more snow, but we shall see. All right, we do have two sets of minutes to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 9th?
So moved.
Second.
And that's as amended.
As amended.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay, so Mary's going to abstain. And do I have a motion the same for January 13th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mary does not need to abstain from those. Okay? All right, just so everybody understands how we operate, the first item of business this evening is the decision, but I actually am going to ask the board we're going to put that to the end of the meeting because we need to have a little discussion on that. So really our first item of business will be a public hearing. That's where the board has already reviewed the appeal and the application before us, and so now we want to hear from any neighbors that might have any concerns related to this property. Then we have some reviews on our agenda where in most cases, I think only in one case have we seen it before, so most of the other three actually will be new applications that we haven't seen before. So that's the board's opportunity to really get a sense of what is the applicant looking for and work through any issues that we may have before we put it for the public comment. So with that being said, I'm going to start with item number 1, a decision, which is an appeal 3701 Bermudez. Martha Bermudez, 24.
I thought we were going to move the first one.
I am.
Oh,
24
okay.
I just want to set the stage. 24 Canterbury Court, Hopewell Junction. We need to make a decision on this. We do have 62 days from when we close the public hearing in January, so we are under no obligation to do it tonight. I believe the board, given the nature of this one, needs to have some discussion and actually needs to have some discussion with our attorney. So I'm going to ask the board to make a motion to move this to the end of the agenda. And then noticing the public that we intend to go into into executive session to have some discussion with our attorney related to this matter. We're not going to go there now. We're not going to make a motion to go into executive session. So if I get a motion to move this to the end of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, this will just give us time, so I don't have to hold up the members of the public that are here. It will give us plenty of time to have our discussion. So that being said, item number 2 is a public hearing, appeal 3714, Skoke, Michael P. Skoke, 1400 Route 82, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 23-foot front line variance for a proposed 26-foot by 68-foot addition and porch, a 23-foot front line and 11-foot sideline variance for the existing house, a 24-foot sideline and 18-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 16-foot shed, an 11-foot rear line variance for an existing covered deck, a 22-foot rear line variance for an existing 7-foot by 12-foot shed, a 15-foot rear line variance for an existing patio, a 45-foot rear line variance for an existing gazebo, a 13-foot sideline variance for an existing 8-foot by 10-foot shed, and a 2-foot variance for a 6-foot bench which is located in front of the rear line of the dwelling pursuant to sections 194-98 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Mr. Skoke. So last month we reviewed your application. And one of the things that you brought to our attention, your house was built in that location in the 70s. You did a lot of this work probably between the 70s, late 70s, the early 80s. You did work with the building inspector on a number of these issues. You mentioned a couple names of a couple building inspectors who have been out over to your property over the course of the years. At this point, you were looking to do an addition off to the, if you're facing your house, off to the right of your house, to where you can build an accessory apartment of approximately 1,100 square feet, so that you and your wife would be able to move into this one-bedroom accessory apartment, and then your daughter and her family would be able to move into your main residence, so that you have family very close by in the event that you need it. So what we did discuss potentially moving the addition back, but because of all the things in your backyard, it probably didn't make the most sense to be able to do that. We talked about what is actually there in the back. There is one shed that's not included in what we just said, but that you're going to actually remove that one shed because it's really just temporary for your daughter's materials or her stuff at this point. And so really what's there has been there for many, many years, probably going back at least to the 80s, but some of it goes back to the 70s. And we haven't had any complaints. It's just that you're looking to do some an addition to your house at this point. We just want to clean it up. One of the things that's important to get on the record is that your house, because it's on a New York State maintained road, it's on Route 82, you actually have a 100-foot setback for your home, which is why your existing house doesn't even conform, and we're certainly not going to make you move your house. But if you were on any other town road, you wouldn't even have that need for that variance. So, I think it's important to get all of that on the record. So we did go through the need for each of the things and what we could get rid of or not. And so I think at this point the board was comfortable with what we saw, but again, we did want to hear from your neighbors. Is there anything else you want to add?
I'm amazed that you would remember all of that.
Oh.
Wow.
Not to worry.
Okay.
All right, are there any questions or comments from board members?
I'm good.
No? Is there anyone here who wants to speak for or against the application from Michael Scope, 1400 Route 82, Hopewell Junction, requesting a whole bunch of variances? Yeah, sure. Come on up. You're welcome to come to the microphone. Or not.
It'll be easier because
It's easier for everybody to hear you if you're there.
You want her to sign in?
But let's have her speak first.
Okay. Excuse me. I am one of Mike's neighbors.
Okay.
And just to let you know, over the years, he's been a very gracious neighbor. Everything he does is beautiful. It's very nice. Never any issues, anything like that. We did have one concern about the fence that borders our property.
Okay.
And that would be if we would have any liabilities with it. If, say, there's some big old trees, and if they come down, if they break the fence, would we be
Are the trees on your
responsible?
property?
They are.
All right, that's not really a question that we would be able to answer. All right, that would really be a question for your own attorney, for you to get your own legal advice related to that.
Okay, because
But the fence is there already.
the fence is there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it was put in after we had moved into the house.
Okay.
So, the thing is, when we did have an issue once before. There was a branch that came down, and basically the issue was, whose responsibility is it? So we figured we would take care of the tree. But as far as the fence goes, that would be Mike's responsibility. And now it's a little concerning because now the fence is a little older. So we were told that if there was a permit on the fence, then it became real property. Then it would be our responsibility if the tree damaged it. And at this point, seeing as it's a little older, if you go to replace a piece of it, it's not going to match the rest of the fence. So then therefore, we could potentially be sued for the entire fence. And so that's where our concern is.
Okay. Is this in a portion of the fence where your trees are? Is it in the front of the house or is it in the rear of the house?
It's the side of the house.
Side right here.
No, I understand that, but is it in the front of the house or in the rear of the house?
Of my house?
Yeah, no, from their house.
I would say it's on the side, between.
No, I understand it's on the side, but
Okay.
physically where along that side fence are you concerned? Because my point is, if it's in the front of the house, if it's in the rear of the house, they're entitled to the 6-foot fence anyway. If it's in the front of the house, then you might have some concern about what we're being asked to approve. That's the point, that was my point.
How tall is the fence? How tall is the
Hold on,
fence?
she's trying to answer the question.
I'm sorry, that I don't know.
6 foot.
In the front, in the back?
Yeah,
The whole thing all around is 6 foot.
Okay.
that's why it's here for a variance. So, I'm sorry, where is the tree that you're concerned about?
It's a bunch of trees, it's a tree line
Okay.
that lines the same area that the whole fence.
Oh, okay, so it is in the front and the rear, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Of where,
The trees kind of hang over the fence.
okay, but they do run in the front of the house? Not in the front of it, but in the front section of the fence that would be in front of the house. If you drew a line from the front of the house across, yeah, actually, come on up, and we'll show you.
Okay.
Since you have yours out, sorry.
That's okay.
All right, this is Route 82, okay? So here's his house. If we drew a line, and I don't want to draw on,
No, you can draw, you can draw.
okay, if we drew a line here, where are the trees? All along, okay. So, it's because only from anything in front of here, this is his house.
Okay.
So only, sorry, I should have drawn it with the rear line of the house. Only any trees from here, this is the section of the fence that we're looking to give the variance to.
Okay.
Back here, he's entitled to it anyway.
Okay, yeah, well, this is,
They're all along there.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's,
Okay. Again, any liability would be an issue you'd really need to discuss with your own attorney.
What I would suggest is talk to the insurance agent and
well, we did already, and they said it depended upon if there was a permit for the fence or not.
Okay, we're going to ask you to go back to the microphone.
I don't know when the code came into effect.
Can we ask you to just, there's a list, of sheet of paper over there. Can we just ask you to sign in, please?
It used to be that the zoning board would just grant permission to have a fence.
Right.
Now they have to get a permit from the building department.
Right.
This fence has been there forever, so I'd have
Right.
to look back and see.
Whether a permit's even required based on
Right.
the date of the fence. Okay. Yeah,
But they would have had to have approval from the zoning board anyway, at a certain point.
okay.
Do you know when that?
Is that noise? All right, Mr. Skulk, you want to comment to that?
Yeah, if I may add to that, Kim, the tree one time fell through the fence and it took a section out. And I just said, cut the tree up. It's been on the property for about a week now. And your husband came over with the other guys and cut it up. And I just put the fence back up to section. I'm really not concerned about that. Yeah, I mean, I want it to go on record. I'm not.
Mr. Skulk, you're going to address your comments to
Oh,
the
I'm
board.
sorry.
We're
I'm
not
so
gonna
sorry.
engage in a back and forth here, okay?
Yes, I'm not concerned about that.
Okay.
If a tree over there knocks it down again, fine. It's my work anyway. I'll just put it right back up again. I'm not going to hold them liable for it, though.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Any other concerns? No. Anybody else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
so moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Mary, you want to go?
This is appeal number 3714. The applicant is Michael Scope, and the name of the project is a 23-foot front line variance for a proposed 6-foot by 68-foot addition and a porch, a 23-foot front line and 11-foot sideline variance for the existing house, a 24-foot sideline and 18-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 16-foot shed, an 11-foot rear line variance for an existing covered rear deck, a 22-foot rear line variance for an existing 7-foot by 12-foot shed, a 15-foot rear line variance for an existing patio, a 45-foot rear line variance for an existing gazebo, a 13-foot sideline variance for an existing 8-foot by 10-foot shed, and a 2-foot variance for a 6-foot fence which is located in front of the rear line of the dwelling pursuant to sections 194-98 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. This is located at 1400 Route 82 in Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by zoning board member Mary Seminara. Whereas the applicant has applied to the zoning board for a 23-foot front line variance for a proposed 26-foot by 68-foot addition.
Mary, how about we're just going to say for a series of variances as previously stated?
Thank you so much,
As
Norma.
indicated above.
All right, but we are going to make one correction to the top. The first one is 26 feet by 68. Okay, so with that correction,
26 by 68,
26 by 68. With that correction, the series of variances as, what did you say, John?
as
Indicate?
recited above.
As recited above.
Okay, I'll go with that. Whereas this action is a type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 4, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 10th, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as most of the structures are already existing and have been for many years. The proposed addition has been designed to fit in with the character of the house and the existing neighborhood. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as the applicant is proposing the addition to be an accessory unit for him and his wife to live in, so his daughter and her family can live in the existing house. The variance requested is not substantial, as most of the structures in question are in the privacy of the property's backyard and have been there for many years, and if this property was on a road other than a New York State mandated roadway, New York State maintained roadway, the addition would meet the required setbacks. The required setback on New York State maintained roadways is 100 feet from the edge of the pavement. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood, as most of the structures are already existing, and the proposed addition will match the existing house. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request made by Michael Scope, 1400 Route 82, Hopewell Junction, who is requesting that whole list of
A series of variances as recited above.
As recited above and as amended, I guess. Pursuant to sections 194-98 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows. Aziz?
Aye.
Tara?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries. Okay. All right. Pass that down to Pam just in case she needs it.
Could I just add one comment? The building department has been really very nice to me in all the things that I've done. You're just like them. You've treated us in a very professional manner. I appreciate that very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay.
All right, so that's it for our public hearings this evening. From here on in, we have a couple reviews to do. So item number 3 is Appeal 3712 Scheuer. Sorry, I think this is Scheuer. Is somebody here for Scheuer? Okay. Well, let me get it on the record. Elizabeth Scheuer, 4730 Fieldstone Road, Bronx, New York, is requesting a 38-foot rear line variance for a proposed barn addition on our property located at 32 Phillips Road, Hopewell Junction, pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Seeing nobody here, can I have a motion to put this on for second call?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second call means we'll take it up at the end. Okay. All right, item number 4, Appeal 3715, Guardian Self-Storage East LLC. Frank Rettel of Guardian Self-Storage East LLC, 929 Route 376, Poppingers Falls, is requesting an interpretation of the section of the code which refers to the allowed uses in a B1 zone schedule of bulk regulations. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Rettel. I'm with Guardian Self-Storage. We filed an application for an interpretation based upon a letter that we received from the Deputy Zoning Administrator. Back in, well, almost 15 years ago, Guardian Self-Storage received site plan approval to conduct self-storage activities, including the erection of certain buildings at its location on Route 376. At that time, building permits were obtained following site plan approval. Construction was began. From day one, as part and parcel of the self-storage facility, there was also storage of some vehicles. Sometimes people like to store boats on trailers for the winter, RVs during the summer. We've been conducting that activity from day one, which was not prohibited under the B1 schedule when site plan approval was obtained. Buildings were erected, building department was involved, inspections were made, COs were issued. The problem began when we erected the most recent building. We obtained a building permit. Inspections were made during the course of construction. When the construction was finished, a final inspection was made. But upon information and belief, the building department didn't issue the final CO because there was an issue about the storage of the vehicles on the property. It's our contention that by virtue of the site plan approval and the investment of substantial sums of money by Guardian, we obtained vested rights in the zoning at the time that this site plan was approved. Now, the B1 schedule now, I believe, contains prohibitions against the storage of vehicles outside. I think it limits it to residential areas. But that wasn't...
Or industrial, I think it's...
Is it industrial?
I think it's I3 or...
But that wasn't in effect at the time our site plan approval was obtained.
Okay.
And that's why we're coming to you for an interpretation that we're really governed by the code that was in effect when we obtained site plan approval as opposed to the town code now. To give a simple analogy, suppose the town changed the zoning of our land to residential. Would the town have the right to come in and say we can't have the self-storage facility now because it's residential? It's sort of a simple example, but that's...
Well, actually,
that's our
the
reason.
application we had right before you, where his house was built according to code
Yeah.
back in the 70s,
Right.
and then when it was changed in the early 2000s,
Right.
the state road then required a 100-foot setback,
Yeah.
which wasn't there before.
And
So
also-
we do understand, code changes,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So, and also part of that letter that we received from the zoning department said that our building permit expired.
Not our issue,
Right.
okay? Signs is not our issue,
Okay.
all right? You're-
No, it wasn't a sign. They're saying
No,
that...
no, no. There was an issue in your materials that you presented to this board also related to number of signs or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the
Well,
purview of
it's
this board.
moot because the
and-
signs are gone now anyway, so
Okay.
we removed them.
I'll see it later when I drive by. All right, so...
In a nutshell, that's our application.
That's fine. I think I appreciate the very detailed material that you laid out for us.
Thank you.
That we were able to review ahead of time. At this point, I'd like to have the board schedule a public hearing to have discussion. I'd like our discussion to be on the record during the context of that public hearing.
Okay,
So can we have a motion to schedule a public hearing for the interpretation of outdoor storage
so moved.
at the next meeting? All in favor? Aye. Okay? All right, so we'll see you next month, and we'll have a discussion at that point, and we'll notice the neighbors of the property, and we'll have a full discussion at that point.
This may be a silly question, but I'll ask it anyways because the only stupid question is one you don't ask. I heard you mention before about signs that go on property for public hearings. Is that something that we're required to do?
Yes, Pam will actually give you your instructions. Pam's right here at the end of the table.
Okay.
She'll give you your instructions. There's a sign that has to go out on the property so that everybody, anybody who doesn't get the letter can also
Okay.
have the opportunity to come and comment. on the meeting.
Hopefully they'll stay up in the snow.
If not, you will restore it, and you'll use some kind of permanent marker that will keep the date present on
We'll get
that
it there.
sign.
We'll get it there.
Thank you.
May I go up and
We'll
get
see
the
you next
instructions?
month.
I see.
All right, item number 5, Appeal 3716, Three Daughters Holding Company, also known as Lehigh Landscaping. Three Daughters Holding Company, Lehigh Landscaping, 10 Sprout Creek Court, Wappingers Falls, is requesting a 92-foot front line variance for 2 existing concrete storage bins, an existing 18-foot by 36-foot hoop house, and 3 fuel storage tanks, 1 400-gallon gas tank, a 300-gallon diesel tank, and a 300-gallon off-road diesel tank pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. This is not a public hearing. This is the first time we're seeing this, so when...
Did you receive copies of the site plan? I don't know if they sent copies.
Yeah, we did get something.
I was a last minute substitution.
Oh, something.
there,
Oh, okay.
So I'm not
Okay.
sure what they sent in with you.
There's a package here from Mark Day Engineering. All right, so let me understand this. You guys, this is a new business in town. When you first came in last year, we were welcoming you on board and trying to make the most, and understand you were trying to make the most of the site that you had.
Correct.
We were working in conjunction with the planning board who was reviewing site plan. So you haven't been there that long, and apparently now things are showing up on the site that were not included in the site plan.
Correct.
All right, and so if you could take us through some of those, so that we're understanding why are they showing up now, as opposed to why not go through the trouble of just getting it all there on there in the first place.
You mind if I?
Go ahead.
Well, after he got site plan approval, apparently it became necessary to his business to add these items, and at the time he did not think about it,
Okay.
so to speak, as it wasn't necessary. His business is growing, he states, it's expanding, and
It's
he needed
doing
these
well.
items.
That's
It's doing
good.
very well. And so he added, after the site plan approval, the two additional storage areas for bulk landscaping items.
By the way, this is outdoor storage material,
Yes.
by the way? Okay, but this is an I3 zone, so it is allowed? It's just the location that needs the variance?
Yes.
Okay,
He added the fuel storage tanks, I believe they're owned by Botini.
okay.
And they're on there. And the hoop house, which he keeps, I believe, full-size plantings, small trees.
Landscaping material?
Landscaping materials underneath it.
Okay,
All these items are on the property side of the fence that's there, the 6-foot vinyl fence.
all right.
And those are the items that you mentioned, but in addition, those are existing. He's also proposing, it's not there on site yet, in this area right here, LP storage area for propane.
Okay.
Like for like Blue Rhino, the tank exchange.
Okay,
And
so you
that's-
would be refilling folks'
No, he's not
tanks?
refilling, it's just an exchange. He's not going to do any refilling
Oh,
on
okay,
front.
so
You just
somebody
bring your
could go
empty
and just
tank
exchange, okay.
And they swap it. It's not there yet, but he'd like to put one there. And that would be, like I said, right about in this area, which is also,
Is that on your site plan that's before the planning board right now?
yes, on the
Okay,
amended
so
site
you're gonna
plan.
have the
It's there.
appropriate bollards and safety features in place?
That's all there.
Does it require a variance? Is
The
it,
planning board is viewing it as a structure, I believe.
okay?
And it
How
will
far
be.
back is it from the road? Or in from their property line, I should say?
It is, I don't think we
Is
put
it
an
less, is it
exact
less than
measurement
100
there.
feet, right?
Yes,
Because
looks
this
like
is,
it's about 81 feet.
okay, thank you. So it will need a variance.
It will need a
Sounds like
variance.
it's gonna need a 19-foot variance. But does that include just the tank, or is that the bollard?
That's just the tank.
All right, so we probably need to give a couple extra
Right.
foot, because that's,
And we'll get.
so I can look at my own, can't I? Wow. Thank you, though. You guys are all helping me out tonight. All right, so because this is gonna be less than the 100 feet required, 81, oh, 81's to the building. 81.4 is to the building, see that?
Yeah. Is this considered a statement or is it this?
Doesn't matter, it's the I3 zone.
Oh.
And so that's what has the requirement. So, all right, so you got to give us your best estimate, because, again, you don't want to
Right.
come back, we want to get this right the first time. We'll let the planning board deal with those, the safety issues, that's their purview, but,
Is it possible to put it on the side? Because in the side you might not need a variance.
No, I
Well-
don't think they're going to be allowed inside.
out on the side of the property, he's saying.
Because you got 118 feet from the
But with the
376. You got
We're also
118.
going to have 100 feet setback from 376, and that puts, there's actually a dotted line, which shows the building envelope. That's the area that would be conforming to the zoning laws currently. And it's
And
very
it's going to be
narrow.
more visible anyway from 376.
Okay.
That's really where your main entrance is, really, right? On
The
that
main
side?
entrance is off of Sprout Creek Road,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's highly, you
It's-
see
yeah,
the
it's
whole
very
front of the
visible
building
on
from
that side, right.
376, even though the entrance isn't there.
I don't know if this is for you guys, but it says petroleum or bottled gas processing, manufacturing, or storage. I don't know if this is a mistake, but it's only allowed in an I-2 with a special use permit.
Oh, All right, well,
And
you
this
know
is
what? Where are
I-4.
you with the planning board? Because
They referred us here based on the existing structure so far.
including that feature?
We
Because
were-
that wasn't on your application, that's why I'm asking.
Well, that was something that I think we need some clarification on, because they said they were going to refer to us to here for all of the issues we were discussing in the planning board, including that tank. In addition, it's not mentioned, but a seasonal display that they're going to consider a structure. I don't know if anyone drove by it, but he had during the fall like a small tractor.
Shelves almost.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the planning board's considering that a structure. And for him to continue using seasonal displays, they're going to require a variance for that as well. A 98-foot variance and a 20-yard variance on the rear setback.
Why 98 feet?
That would put it right just past his sign, and it's going to be 2 feet off the property line where it is.
So it's going to be closer to the road than the sign now?
No, it's going to be, it's not going to be any closer, but there's the right-of-way from the edge of the
Right.
road to the property line. And then it's an additional 2 feet in from the property line,
And where's your sign located right now?
about 2 feet off the property line.
Okay. Because I thought last fall, the display was really more in your parking area. It was a little bit
And
behind.
I think it was a little closer, but that's where he was looking to put it.
Okay. I mean, it was very nicely
I
done.
mean, it was all taken down after, and then they
Right.
required the
But I guess we'd need a little bit more
Variance.
better clarification as to how big an area you're talking about and,
For scale, I have a small rough display we just did. if I
okay.
may.
Mary, you want to come down?
This is just a quick little, something gives a better idea.
Last year, I think you had it here. Why couldn't you include it on the area over here? You have a lawn area
I'll have to
here?
ask, I'll have to ask Lehigh if they are okay with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, why block the sign would be my question. I think this is where they had it last year, and it was fine. In terms of fitting in nicely, and you still saw it well.
We can go back and rework that, but it's still going to require, at least at that point.
Understood, but instead of being 98 feet, maybe it's 85,
No,
That's a significant difference in the, but you guys agree, or? I mean, again, but I need some sense of 20 foot by 20 foot.
Right.
We got to be able to give it some set of a definition for anybody, building
We
department.
had it torn down before we knew he was going to need that, and he wasn't.
So can you give us some, again, revising what you've submitted, can you provide us some guidance in terms of what's the maximum, what are they looking for? Because there's a big difference between allowing 8 foot by 8 foot, 12 foot by 12 foot, or 20 foot by 20 foot.
I think he's
Okay.
looking for something closer to like a 20 feet by 8 feet or so, 20 feet by 9, almost like a.
I think
like
you
a
need-
parking
I think
spot
you need
size.
guys, I think you guys need to be clear on what you're asking for.
Right.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
It's not up to us to, I'm just saying, we're suggesting,
No,
you need to
as
tell
long
me.
as we're open to this, so
You
we
need to
can
tell us.
get a definite idea. This was kind of a last-minute thing to make sure we
Well,
can get
and again,
this, so.
anything else right now, let's get you cleaned up and
Right.
let's do it the right way now. And before you do anything, okay? All right, so I did have a chance to drive by Saturday afternoon, although I drive by this site very regularly. So there's another frame structure. The hoop house, you have their tanks, the hoop house, you can see this all behind the fence, okay?
Right.
And I was not leaving my house there, not leaving my car. But, so you have there was like a storage pod, I want to say, or like a truck thing, and then there was the hoop house you could see, but then there's another frame. Can I show you?
Oh. See.
See this metal frame that's visible above the fence? What is this?
What is that? That is a good question.
Because this is a structure.
I believe that is part of the hoop house.
It's
and it
not. The
doesn't
hoop
have-
house
it
is, the hoop
behind
house
there?
has its canvas on it, and
It
it's
does
in a
have it.
different location.
I didn't
It's
have a
not.
chance. I apologize. I didn't have
No,
a chance to
that's
drive
okay.
by.
I just, again,
No, right
we
there.
want to clean everything up so that it's appropriate
I'm not
here.
100% sure what that is. I can get back.
Let me just, I don't think Mary's had a chance to see that, so if you can. All right, if we can just be clear what that is. The fence was nicely maintained, the property is clean and neat, so I really have no issues with that.
Looks like it might be on here it's just not labeled.
No, I think that's
Under-
this.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think these are in the place that you're kind of showing them. The hoop house was like a little bit further in, because this is now where the storage, fuel storage is really, or the fuel storage is here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there are things where, I don't know, I'm just telling you, you gotta get that clear, okay? So at a minimum, you're gonna get a size for the display area, and if there's a potential of an alternate location, is there a maximum amount of time that we would limit how long it should be up?
For which?
Like a display for fall? Would we care if it's up for September, October, and November? Do we have to set parameters for that?
I would say you probably should, only because then
Right,
it
it's-
won't stay up all year round.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you don't limit it, they'll just say, hey, it's there for display.
Yeah,
I
because
wouldn't limit it.
it's a seasonal display, but it could become a permanent display a
Right.
year from now, and that's an issue.
So you should set the ground rules now.
Right, so
And
we
we'd like to
need
know
you to
that.
tell us, that each display will stay up 60 days, 30 days, 90 days, what are you asking for?
Okay.
Okay? Just so that we can be clear what we're gonna allow and what we have to consider. All right? I know you don't have a whole lot of neighbors there, but, you know, there are potentially people who might wanna comment on that.
Would there be a concrete pad below the
I don't-
seasonal display?
I don't believe he wants to put a permanent base there. I think it's something he just wants to put in the grass area for a little while, take it down, and at the end of the seasonal time frame, and still have nice grass there
right.
when it's not there.
I mean, like the fall, the one that was there in the fall with a bunch of hay bales and scarecrows, you know, whatever, straw people, it was fine. It was
Festive.
Yeah, it was
It
festive,
was I
exactly.
thought it was tasteful.
Right, so, wasn't out of scale, it wasn't huge, it was, but,
Were there other seasonal displays?
not that I,
Besides the autumn
well, they haven't really been there very long,
I don't think he's
so.
gotten more involved in that one. in
He
terms
did
of
have
the seasonal
some
display.
plants
Sure.
hanging up in the summer, more for display for sale.
No snowmen?
No, I don't think there's.
Tomorrow.
There might be some there now, I just can't see
Yeah.
them. I'll go back to the applicant and get some
Okay.
clarification on exactly what he's looking to do in that area. But
Okay.
as long as we're open to, with further detail,
You gotta,
I
you
understand.
have to give us guidance for what it is that you're asking for, and then based on that, we'll give you feedback as to whether it's appropriate or not. What is your schedule with the planning board? Do you know when you go back to them?
I don't think we've submitted anything back to the planning board yet.
Okay, so we have
We're
time
waiting
to.
to get through.
Okay, and obviously, we want to do this as expeditiously as possible, but
Right.
let's get it right, okay? So
Absolutely.
let's do it so we get it right. If you don't mind, if we're going to ask you to sign
Sign
in,
in.
because Lisa needs
Not
your
at
name
all.
for the record, okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
Um,
I don't think we're ready to schedule this for a public hearing, because I think we need to understand better what the options are, what the size is, what that hoop house is, whether propane's even allowed, and if not, what your alternatives are. I don't know that this board can grant a variance to allow it. I
No,
don't
that
think
would be a
that's-
use variance if it's
Right.
not permitted use.
Right.
I mean, you
Well, which we could, but
You could,
then
but it's
we'd have to
very hard.
get a real good explanation as to why it's needed.
And if they decide that it can be there, we need to know how much, because
Right.
they're already having a lot of fuel storage, and then other permits from other agencies
Right.
may be required.
So there are quite a few number of issues that needs to be addressed, so we'll see you.
We'll see you again next
Next
month.
Yes, we will.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's sign in, please.
All right, item number 6, Appeal 3717, Correo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly? Okay, R. Michael Correo, 49 West Hook Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 17-foot rear line variance for an existing 1,440 square foot detached garage. The existing house has a 2,500 square foot footprint pursuant to section 194-107C of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so this is the first time we're seeing your application, so if you don't mind taking us through. It's an existing garage,
Yes.
okay?
So it is a, it's 30 feet deep by 48 feet long. And it meets the side yard setback, but it doesn't meet the rear yard setback. And it backs up against the West Hook Sand and Gravel Pit
Okay.
on the rear yard.
You provide a number of attachments in your application, which I thank you for, because it really helps us understand what you're looking to do. This is a residence, right?
Yes,
There is a business registered at this address?
yes,
Okay. Is the business run out of this address?
yes.
Do you have a permit to allow that? Do you
No.
store material, do you have clients that come to this address? Okay, do you store materials there related to your business? Careful of your answer.
You know, I would say yes.
Is that what the garage is being used for? It looks like there are, like, building materials? It's a contracting business, by the way.
Everything in the garage is also used for personal use. Like all
Okay.
the equipment has been and is still is used on the property.
Okay,
There's not much material, but there is material there. And again, a lot of that is used on the property.
okay. Do you have trucks and stuff stored here as well? I don't know, you know.
Yes, yeah, I have a dump truck and a excavator.
Okay,
They're not even allowed.
yeah, they're not gonna be, do you have another place where you can store them?
They're not allowed,
In residential.
In a
zone.
residential,
even if it's used on my property, because that's the only place I use
Commercial vehicles are not
that.
allowed in a residential district. Hydraulic lift vehicles, which the dump truck, I assume, is hydraulic lift. And excavators, it very specifically spells out that they're not allowed.
Okay, I didn't know that.
okay. All right, there is, we have a question as to where, you have another shed? What is it, or a garage or something? You have another structure?
Yeah, there is a garage on the property that's non-conforming, existing but non-conforming.
And how close is that one to the property line?
That's 4 or 5 feet from the property line. And there is actually a structure added onto that that is over the property line that I realize needs to come down.
Okay, it looks like you also have a road going behind there. Is that,
No, that dotted line is the driveway that goes right up to that structure,
dotted line?
or double dotted line.
Oh, you're on your, you're looking at your survey,
Oh,
which,
yeah.
damn, I don't have a survey in mine. I just have photographs. Do you guys have a photograph? Oh, look at that. Okay. Pam, I think you gave me yours the other day, that's why. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you to come up here because I need to ask some questions, and Mary, you may want to come down and look at this at the same time. All right. In the photographs that you, well, these actually might have been from, you guys pulled these, right? The aerials?
Yes, the areas.
Okay. So it looks like you've got a whole road network back here, getting back to the
Yeah, that's-
garages and stuff in the back there.
Yeah, that's a driveway.
Okay, and so your property line cuts through like the middle of this house, or this garage, sorry.
Correct.
So you've got a road back there, and you've got half of this structure that's not on your property. All right, so at a minimum, all this has to come down and come, you can't be using property that's not yours. But then when we connect it over, if we look at the property line related, because I think you just drew this on here, right?
Well, I cited it.
Okay, but if this is over, when you look at this from the aerial, and I think this one might be better, yes, when we look at the property line, see, the aerial shows that you're over? Where's the other structure? Is that it here?
Yeah.
Okay, if this is, you're saying that this is 4.5 feet from the property line, but yet the property line cuts through the middle of it?
No, like I said, I added on, there's the existing.
So then it's at and over the property line, it's not 4.5 feet?
The new structure that I added to it is over the property line, correct.
And so if you remove the new structure, which you have to remove,
Yeah,
okay?
then-
Then you're back to, then this is like here, the 4.5 feet? I mean, it's in a little bit?
Yes.
So then when we look at where this is, I'm not sure that that's gonna be 30 feet. And how are you gonna access it now that we're telling you you can't access it from that back road because that's on somebody else's property?
Well, if I need to, I can just push this forward, push this drive path.
I mean, you may honestly want to have a conversation with your neighbor about a lot line realignment. And just ask if you can redo
Well-
your lot line and
I spoke with the people.
that's West Hook Brandon,
yeah.
right, and,
Yeah, they're not gonna give me more property, but they have no problem with me doing that.
all right, but we can't approve.
What you can do is get a license or something like that, or
An easement?
An easement or something, so that,
But-
while you're using it, then they have no complaint or something like that. So they're not giving the property, but they're giving you a
Yeah, we can't
temporary.
allow a structure. They can, an easement would be the road,
Easement would be, pass.
Right.
Not to build on.
like a cross-access easement or something would allow the road to be there, but not a structure.
Right, no, I clearly understand that add-on has to come off.
Okay.
So if I can do that, and then if they'll give me an easement,
So then at least that gives you the access to this back garage.
right,
That would be a proper easement.
property,
That would be a proper easement. to
Right.
Get from point A to point B.
okay.
Again, I think there are quite a number of issues that have to be resolved before we can go forward with
Are
this
there any other
application.
structures on your property? Like, is there a shed near the house? When we look at the aerials and what's there versus what you're,
Look at the picture from the front of the house. This one here that shows the pond and
Oh, there's
everything.
a playhouse.
oh,
It looks like a shed or something. You see the one I'm talking about, Norma?
the one with the water in front of it?
Yeah.
Here. So is that, what is this here?
Yeah, so that's a playhouse, yeah.
Okay, how big is the playhouse?
8 by 10?
Is it behind the rear line of the house?
Does it, it's completely behind the rear line of the house? All right, then we need to deal with that then too.
Okay.
All right, because that, we do have to, it should not be,
It might be, all right, but so we have to address that, okay.
yeah, we've got some cleanup.
Where is
here
it
to
on
do.
this? Looking at your house, exactly where is this, or roughly?
Like right here. It's either.
You can draw on it. I mean, you can draw it.
Say maybe right here. It's either it clears this or it's right.
Okay.
Straddles it.
Yeah.
All right, so, but that brings me to my next issue. This survey, there's a lot drawn on here, and I'm not sure how accurate it is. So, to be honest, we really need to understand that this really is 30 feet. So,
Yeah, from the aerial, it looks like this is almost in front. Or this looks in front. They're not clearly from the aerial.
that looks like that's on, but that, if this is the property line,
Yeah.
it looks like this is again, it looks like your new garage is on their property as well. That was what our concern was. See how the property line is imposed on there? It looks like it's not on your property. Now, it could, don't get me wrong, it could be the online material doesn't have your lot line right. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But you just drew it in hand drew it in on a survey, and it's just not giving us enough detail for us to
Right.
have a level of comfort that it's right.
Well, I did cite it, but if I need a survey, I guess I'll have to get it.
You're gonna need a survey. Don't want to protect yourself, otherwise we're gonna make you take it down.
Right.
Okay, we can't approve anything that has structures that are clearly on somebody else's property.
Right.
Okay, so I think you need to clean this up a little bit before, and figure out what you're gonna do, and get accurate dimensions of everything on there, the playhouse, et cetera, before we can act on anything. Okay?
So I need a.
You're gonna need a survey. I mean, whoever did your survey when you built the house, how old is your house?
Oh, it's back in the 40s.
Oh,
when it was
really? Wow.
renovated.
Okay.
But when I moved in, 30 years ago, I did have a new survey done. Well,
Okay.
not a new survey, I actually had these two lines staked.
Okay.
Um,
Are the pins still there? Are there the monuments or whatever they used?
Yeah, well,
Well, so I'm just saying it should be easier for somebody to come out and do the survey if the material is still there.
yeah.
Whoever did your survey in the first place, they might
Has all
just
the
be able to do an update to it, but if it's 30 years ago, it might not be
Yeah, I
digital,
spoke-
might not, you know.
Yeah, I spoke to them, and I could have them come out
Who
again.
did the survey?
Kosamar, but that's not who owns it now.
Commissar.
What's that?
Commissar,
Commissar,
K-O-M-I-S.
yes. Yeah. But
He's
they
in the
were-
area.
Yeah, well, I think he retired, and it was sold.
Somebody
to-
else bought the
Yeah.
information. Okay.
What is the structure here? Next to the
Oh,
pond?
that's sand,
Okay.
Sand for,
Malibu Beach.
oh, okay. Nothing that says a beach isn't allowed, that's okay. All right, so we're gonna ask you to get a survey done before we can revisit anything here. But any structure that is over your property line, you do have to make arrangements. And if you gotta, obviously, I don't know that you can move your equipment tomorrow, but you gotta get rid of it,
Okay.
the business equipment very quickly.
So they'll give you time to talk to the neighbors about the issue, and then also, in the meantime, get the survey done, and so we'll see you in March or April.
Yeah, like I said, the easiest thing honestly is just to do a lot line alignment with your neighbor. But
You can
It
give
would be
them,
easy.
that would be easier.
to resolve.
Then you don't have to take anything down.
Yeah, but would they allow,
I-
people wouldn't allow a lot line alignment, right? That's-
Well, sure they would.
Talk to them.
it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
Are they
Although
using
that's a different zone, because that's west of sand and gravel, I'm not sure what the zone is there.
Well, it's not zoned, well, I don't know.
You can't change
Yes,
I don't,
the
I
zone
don't want,
line,
I'm
you know what I mean?
not saying I can
A lot line
recall that.
alignment, that's
What is Westwood
basically
Sand and Gravel
buying
zone?
property from them, right?
Yes,
Swap spot?
Well, again, you're
but
giving
it
some,
draws the line differently, so then it's your property, you don't have to take it up. You don't have to take the building down or the road up.
You would incorporate the building into the new property.
All right?
Did you ask the question about the actual footprint of the house? Because
Oh,
the
yeah, let's-
application says existing house is
25.
2,500 square foot.
Where's your
footprint,
survey
but
back again?
It's supposed to be a footprint, not
Right.
square footage.
What is the square footage of your house total?
3,400 square feet.
Okay, so not the entire house, it doesn't have a second story?
Correct.
Okay, because, again, their survey should give us the dimensions of the house.
Okay.
All right, because that's part of the structures that are on there, and there is a limit to the size of the garage that you're allowed, a detached garage. That's why we need to understand clearly what's the footprint of the original residence.
Okay.
Okay? So,
so how old is this garage?
That's original to the house as far as I understand.
So in the 40s or 50s? Okay.
okay, that would be important for us to note that.
GIS
When
has
we
it
get
as
that far.
1954,
Okay.
the property card.
Okay, so that's before zoning. So,
Okay.
so you should be okay on the original structure.
Okay.
It's only the one that goes into your neighbor's property.
Right.
So, am I able to get some understanding, let's say I was able to get an easement or even realign the property, I'm also over my square footage.
That's part of what our discussion's gonna be. Again, part of it is how visible is it to your neighbors? Are your neighbors concerned about it? If you're operating a business in there, that's of concern. That's not what allowing for large garage is supposed to allow for you to operate a business in there, so that will be of concern. But if we can, that's why I'm saying a lot line alignment would make this board not necessarily have to look at it.
Okay.
All right, that's one thing to think about, but
Just for that, you mean? For the detached
if
garage?
he can get a lot line alignment and he gets more property and he doesn't need the rear line
He
setback.
might need it for the 60%, he might still need it for the
Oh,
size.
he might still need it for the size. Okay, all right, well,
Right, that's what I'm
you
saying.
gotta
If I-
give, that's why you gotta give us more information that gives us the dimensions of the house.
Correct. I think survey is going to help everybody.
Right.
And so,
Well, even if it is, which I'm pretty sure it is 2,500 square feet, that's still
A footprint.
a lot more.
Mhm.
Is it something that I'm going to get denied?
I don't know.
It's too early.
It's too early for us to really have a sense of that. All right, like I said, part of it is, in the normal course of business, it's screened. If your neighbors don't object to it, it makes it easier for us to review it and approve it. But if,
And you've got
It's-
5 acres, I mean, so you've got plenty of property,
Right.
I mean, so.
all right, get us some more information. They may not be able to do a survey until the snow. All right, because finding stakes under a foot and a half of snow is not gonna be easy. So you may not be back next month. If you could, just let Pam know at the end of this month whether you have the survey or not. All right, and then, because I don't wanna have you come here and there's really no update. Okay? Thank you. All right,
Second call?
Well, no, at this point, I think what we'll do is we'll go into, if I can have a motion to adjourn into executive session related to our item number 1, Bermuda's, for our decision, or to just have consultation with our attorney related to the decision.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we should be back pretty shortly. I don't think we'll be long. Joe, if you got...